My 26M husband has decided he doesn't want kids anymore with me. 25F. My husband and I have been together for 7 years. We talked about kids before marriage and he said once we had a house and were married we could have kids. We own our house now, and are married, and now he has changed his mind again and said he wants to wait for us to have a bigger house before we have kids. Our house is 1,500 square feet and has 3 bedrooms, but I do kind of see his point. We both have good jobs. I am a teacher, he is a robotics engineer. I have tried to tell him that there is no perfect time to have kids, but I am worried it will never happen. I told him that having kids is my deal breaker, and if he doesn't want to have kids he needs to tell me so I can leave. He said he just doesn't want to have them yet. Every day I feel like I want kids. I have been on birth control for over 10 years and he doesn't want me to get off it yet. I am scared if I wait it will never happen. Has anyone been in this position? And #X200B. Too long did not read. My husband doesn't seem sure if he wants kids now, even though we talked about it before marriage. Does he have any kind of timeline for when he wants a bigger house, kids? If he says in 2-3 years we can buy a bigger house and have kids, then that's one thing, but he just keeps saying, not yet, or eventually, then that's a yellow flag. Moving the goalposts, which is exactly what he's doing, and also making the goalposts more vague, is, in my opinion, a huge yellow, red flag. Maybe he doesn't want kids at all, maybe he's got cold feet, maybe it was always vaguely in the future and he doesn't want to deal with the reality, but you need to talk to this man and get a firm, clear answer from him, and also an explanation for why he keeps moving goalposts. Yeah, this is a deal breaker. Yes, you'd find it really hard to leave him, but you'll regret waiting to have kids even harder, especially if you can't have kids then because you waited too long and went along with his stalling. Time to choose you. There's no easy way out of this. He's not taking you seriously because you're not taking any serious action yet. I honestly think he doesn't want kids but selfishly doesn't want to lose you, so he'll try to run out the clock until you wake up. Do you really want to drag him into fatherhood anyway? He would likely resent you for it. It doesn't seem like you two are compatible for that reason. Seems like he doesn't want kids at all. If one person wants kids and the other doesn't, it's a deal breaker for the relationship. Somebody will be resentful no matter what the outcome, so it's best to end things. This was me. I hung in there until I was 36. I told myself when I turned 30 he needed to get it together. Once I left everyone said thank gods. I then met a guy and said so I'm getting pregnant ASAP just so you know. He said given your situation I totally understand. We had known of each other for years. About a month later he told me I would make a fantastic mother and I asked if he wanted to help. He totally did, and 13 years later we are a happy family. We ended up with an only child who is phenomenal. I'm so glad I left my first husband. My ex-wife never wanted kids, but I did, and finally by the time she wanted him I didn't. Sometimes the wait not yet turns into hey let's get divorced. I hate to say it but as a woman, your time is limited to have children while men can impregnate someone even when they are pretty old. Worst case scenario, by the time he says he is ready, you will be unable to have kids and he will move on to a younger woman that can still have children. It's happened to plenty of women, so if you want kids now is the time to say something so you still have time to find someone else to have kids with if he is not willing. Don't mean to be offensive in any way, but that's just how the human body works, and as I said before he could always find someone else, but you won't have that luxury if you wait too long. I'm child-free and will never have nor want kids. But he is just moving the goalposts, and if you want kids your body won't let you have them forever. Kids should be wanted by those people that want kids. My guess is he may not want them. Which is fair enough, but you will lead to believe he did. PPL can change their mind, but I'm going to guess he figured he would just follow the life script and have a marriage, a house, and then kids. No choice, but perhaps he is finding out that people do have a choice. I would suggest some couples counseling and really communicate about the kid aspect. If he does not want them, thank him for the time you had together and move on. You absolutely cannot guilt him, bash him or baby trap him. Kids know when they are not wanted. Our house is 1,500 square feet and has 3 bedrooms, but I do kind of see his point. You live in a mansion with plenty of space for children. I have 2 and we live in a 65 male squared, 700 female squared, apartment. Don't wait with having kids until you're in late 30s. If you want children and he doesn't then leave, you can't compromise on this. A teacher and a robotics engineer. Dude is going to keep putting this off. He's seen the light of the other idiots at work paying $60,100K a year in child support. I know in the companies I've worked for there is always that 40-year-old guy who rants about how much child support he pays all the time. He doesn't want kids and is hoping to just stall until you can't anymore. Most people in my country don't marry till their 30s. Time to move on. You're still young. Find someone else. This is really sad, but we have to be honest here. If you have to convince someone or talk someone into doing anything, especially in a situation as serious as this, it's probably not going to go well down the line. You really shouldn't be trying to have kids with someone who doesn't want them. Imagine how things could end up when the baby arrives and you're waking up in the middle of the night, caring for them 24/7. Definitely agree with other posters about marriage counseling, but to me, if the husband doesn't understand the severity of her situation and why she needs to have children sooner rather than later, it may be time for opt to end things and move on. As bad as that may sound, Grimace. Maybe approach him about freezing your eggs with his sperm. Either way, freeze your eggs. Future Minnie, you could thank you for it. Take him to a fertility doctor, take him to a normal doctor. In my opinion, what happens is this. People see older celebrities having children and they think it is easy to conceive. It's not. It definitely does get harder the older you are. I know because I left it and it was harder, and a doctor explained this to me. Celebrities use fertility treatments, secret surrogates and all kinds. They even use wet nurses. It's a big secret. People have the idea they can easily get pregnant at 40. They can't. Honestly, this happened to me. My husband realized he doesn't want kids at all after 5 years together, knowing that it was a deal breaker for me. I would be cautious, as this could be the case with your husband, but it also could be that he just isn't quite ready yet. I don't think he wants kids. I think there will always be a reason why the time isn't right. Try therapy. Don't waste your fertile time on him. He can have kids until he's 100. You don't have that luxury. I think you should give him an ultimatum of, we will have a child by X amount of years, and if not, then I will leave. I feel like there's a good middle ground. At 26 I was still trying to get my feet on the ground for my career. I think it's fine to wait a few years, especially since you two are still so young. You can't force him into a responsibility he doesn't feel comfortable with. However, you need to let him know exactly how you feel and how it affects you. Some guys don't want the pressure of dealing with kids, but they love their other half, just don't know how to express it, fearing rejection. And #X200B. In the end, let him know how you feel exactly so you can get it over with or move past it. He doesn't want kids. He's never wanted kids. He's stringing you along. Dump him. H is gonna string you along and give you hope. But he doesn't actually want to have kids with you. If he did, he would, he sure, and he would tell you. You need to leave. Don't waste any more time on this liar. These comments are really harsh towards your husband. It's okay to change your mind about wanting children at any point in time prior to their conception, regardless of gender or marital status. It seems like he is realizing he may not want kids but is still figuring it out, trying to buy some time. I'm sure the pressure from a partner he OBV loves and doesn't want to lose is making this more confusing for him. Considering that you 100% want children and deserve them, I would set a decision date. Whether it's 6 months from now or a year. The choice on whether to have children or not is an irreconcilable difference. If you definitely want kids, you need to be with someone that AL significant other definitely wants kids. Your husband is fence-sitting and it will only damage your relationship. If you give up on your desire to have children to satiate him, you will resent him. If you put pressure on him to have kids and he really doesn't want kids, he will resent you. How long you two have been together doesn't matter if you both aren't on the same page about your shared future. I think you need to come to terms with this being an incompatibility. I'm sorry for what you're going through, but I wish you good luck and hope you make the choice that's right for you. He doesn't seem like he's being honest. Maybe not honest to you, maybe not honest to himself. There's some specific fears that are making him not want kids, and so he continues kicking it down the road. Find out what that fear is. People with worse jobs and smaller living spaces than yours have multiple kids. It's doable. He seems to be finding excuses rather than telling you what the real issue is. The biggest house is just an excuse. Your husband doesn't want to have kids, and uses this as an excuse. You need to decide for yourself if that's what you can accept, or move on while you are still young. Marriage counseling, couples therapy. I don't know how productive this will be for you, but I feel the need to say it anyways. My mom was dating someone that she loved, but he wasn't sure about kids. She left him because she really wanted kids and she wanted to be with someone who also really wanted kids. Having a plan to have children with someone who isn't sure they want them is kind of a recipe for disaster. Your relationship will probably crumble if he ends up resenting you for making him have kids. Even thought I understand that's not what's happy. You should have kids with someone who is excited to be a dad, because being a parent is already super hard with a supportive spouse. I don't want to tell you to leave someone that you love, but if kids are more important to you, then I would leave now. Personally, I wouldn't throw away marriage and all you both have accomplished over this. Now, if still a few years from now is making excuses for not wanting kids, then I'd suggest leaving or accepting it and moving on. You can't force him to father your kids if he doesn't want them, and he can't force you to be depressed and sad because you do. It takes two to be happy. I read most of the comments and the post. If I were in your shoes I'd give an ultimatum. Kids in your late 30s, especially with PCOS, comes with extreme risks. Even the risk of birth defects like Downs increases as you get older. I'd let him know if you don't have kids by 30, you'll find someone else to give you children. You already set the boundaries and he knew it was a deal breaker. If he can't handle that, he needs to stop being selfish and allow you to find someone who can. Simply put, some people are just not ready to have a child at 26. I have always known I want to have kids, but damn, the thought of having a kid when I was 26 is crazy. I recommend to trust your husband in his answer about wanting kids. My wife tried that on me as an excuse and I told her, many people have done a lot more. With much less we always will think it's never enough and keep chasing what a dragon we make up in our heads. Nothing in life is certain and there's no guarantees, don't wait. You've had your discussion and he's given you general timeframes, but what you need is an actual timeline. Example, I want to get married. He kept giving me general timeframes. When we move in together. When we get rid of our debt. When we have established careers. When we have a decent savings. After 10 years, I was done waiting. When we went through couples therapy, I found out that he has a thing about marriage because he saw his parents' marriage fall apart while I was lucky enough to have both parents remain married. I told him my deal breaker is not be a perpetual girlfriend. I wanted to be his wife. I also love him, so my timeline was either I get married by 40 or I will not marry anyone ever. We're planning the wedding now. Having kids depend on timing. You can't wait forever. If someone was committed to something, they'd have at least a rough idea of when. I personally want to have my kids, if ever, by 32-ish, but at least after I'm financially stable and traveled the world for my own experiences. That's a goal. That's not later. Does he actually want kids, or is he just running out the clock? Kicking the can down the road until the issue resolves itself. He needs to at least map out a clear and specific timeline of how and when the new house gets built. If he's truly worried about house size, I'm currently living in a 1200 square featuring house with 3 kids and it is a bit of a squeeze, but we are happy. It's normal to be nervous about first kids, and it sounds like he may be covering his worry with milestones to achieve before having kids. Lots of people are having kids in their 30s these days. Maybe you can come up with a timeline for kids with your husband. When does he expect to have the bigger house? Could you start with 1 kid now and revisit in 2-3 years? That's super unfair and dishonest. Really hope it works out. No. Take off while you still have time. This man is stringing you along. I was in the shoes of I am not sure if we are ready. My wife was, no regrets. House size doesn't matter. The kids don't care about that. They care about you. First of all, getting off birth control is your decision alone. It's your body. There are other ways to protect against having children, and it seems like you're doing all the sacrificing. Second, you won't have to beg the right person, even if you're married. Not having kids together is a decision you make together. Maybe it's time you sat down and asked the scary questions. You deserve the truth. I know you're excited to have kids, however, taking into consideration your age, which is still young, and his current desires, yes but not now, you guys can come to a compromise. Say within next 5 years. Come off because say 2 years in and let nature take its course. It could happen immediately or take a while, you never know. Definitely communicate and compromise. God bless you guys. Sounds like your husband doesn't actually want kids and is going to keep finding excuses to put it off. If it's a deal breaker, you might need to consider an ultimatum. If you end up divorcing over it, who knows how long until you're in another relationship and at the point you're ready to have kids. Jesus, this dude would laugh at me. 3 kids in a 1,200 square per foot house. My wife and I raised 2 kids in 1500 square ft. 3 BR house. It's plenty big enough for a family. He's moving the goalposts. Yes. I've been in the same position. The goalposts always move. It came down to insecurity on his part. I recommend counseling for both of you. A third party can help give you both communication skills to work this out. If he doesn't agree to counseling, you still attend so that you can work out where you stand and learn the skills you will need to decide to either stay or go. I agree. I've known guys like this before. They say what a woman wants to hear until it's too late. And that is always sad. Her clock is going to start throbbing in the next 2-4 years really badly. And if he isn't ready, then she will be in a really bad position. How about you tell him it's time to play Russian roulette with the boom boom time? No condoms, no birth control. It could take 1 month or several years to have a baby. If he isn't okay with that, then I'd say he is probably cheating on you at work. Because I don't know any men who would turn down that. He doesn't want kids. It is going to absolutely mega suck, and feelings are going to be hurt, but you both deserve someone who has compatible life goals. You with a man who wants kids, and him with a woman who wants to live child-free. Be happy you are still in your mid-20s. Plenty of time to find the one and work on fulfilling your dreams.